Greetings and welcome to the Peace Operations Training Institute's webinar series. We are committed to bringing essential, practical knowledge to military personnel, police, and civilians working toward peace worldwide. To explore all the e-learning training programs offered by the Peace Operations Training Institute, you are invited to view our website at www.peaceopstraining.org. The Peace Operations Training Institute would like to thank the nations and the ministries of foreign affairs that provide the support so essential for the success of our webinars and all the programs we offer. These are Australia, Canada, the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, and the United Kingdom. In this webinar, Dr. Harvey Langholtz, the Executive Director of the Peace Operations Training Institute, interviews Major General Jorge Peña of Ecuador, the President of ALCOPAZ, the Association of Latin American Peacekeeping Training Centers, Ms. Sarah Martin of Women, Peace and Security Resources, and Brigadier General Benjamin Kusi, Deputy Commandant, KAIPTC, the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center located in Accra, Ghana. This webinar was recorded at the annual meeting of the International Association of Peacekeeping Training Centers, held September 2012 in Helsinki, Finland.
Greetings, and welcome to this webinar by the Peace Operations Training Institute. My name is Harvey Langholtz, and I'm pleased to welcome you. I'm also pleased to welcome our guests, who I will introduce this time. First, to my far left, is Sarah Martin of Women, Peace and Security Resources of Cambridge, Massachusetts. And immediately to my left, General Peña of Ecuador and President of the Latin American Association of Peacekeeping Training Centers. And to my right, I am pleased to introduce our third guest, Brigadier General Benjamin Kusi, the Deputy Commandant at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center in Accra, Ghana.
Thank you.
Before we get on with the questions that we've received from the field, I would like to invite each of you to share with our viewers a few words about your organization, what you do, and what brings you here to the IAPTC meeting in Finland. Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Martin, and I'm working with Women, Peace and Security Resources. This is a new organization. It's a woman-owned business in the United States. And what we aim to do is to provide training and technical support for peacekeeping operations and for other people who are interested, policymakers, training institutes, etc., on how to better implement the Women, Peace and Security agenda as laid out in the UN Security Council Resolution 1325. I have a particular specialty on gender-based violence, so I also work on both mainstreaming gender but also addressing gender-based violence. Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. And General Peña, I also invite you to share with the viewers your background and what brings you here.
Thank you. My name is General Jorge Peña. I'm from Ecuador, and right now I'm president of ALCOPAZ, as it's named in Spanish. ALCOPAZ is an organization, a Latin American organization that began in 2008, and it has held the presidency from Argentina, Brazil, Chile, and now Ecuador. Until 2013. This organization has nine members: Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Ecuador, Paraguay, Peru, Guatemala, Uruguay, and Colombia. And recently Bolivia has asked to be a member. Also we have observers, members, and some organizations like France, Canada, South Africa, WINSEC, Pearson Peacekeeping in Canada, and Egypt that have asked to be an observer lately. Our organization has a lot of purposes, mainly interchange of experiences, standardized procedures in the training of peacekeepers, and others that will help us to be better peacekeepers ourselves.
And General Kusi, I invite you also to discuss your own function at the Kofi Annan Center, please.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm the Deputy Commandant of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, as already introduced. And at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, our focus is on peace and security issues. Our functions are basically based on research and training. Training is based on the research that we do on the ground. So it is tailored to the needs of the client or the customer. Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center is one of the 3 centers of excellence that has been designated by ECOWAS. We have 3: the National Defense College of Nigeria, taking care of the strategic aspects. The KAIPTC takes care of the operational aspect, and then the École de Maintien de la Paix in Mali takes care of the operational level of training. And we basically do training concerned with peace, support operations, conflict prevention, and then post-conflict peace building. We've also been accredited as a tertiary institution, and therefore we offer postgraduate courses in gender peace and security and conflict peace and security. In a nutshell, this is what I want to say about Kofi Annan. There is more that we have to offer, but for that I'll refer you to our website, which is www.kaiptc.org. You get everything there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I'm also very pleased to welcome the questions submitted by our students and viewers. We have a long list of questions. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, but I appreciate these, and I will read the first question and then see who would like to answer it. So this question reads as follows. The International Association of Peacekeeping Training Centers annual conference in Helsinki, Finland will no doubt be very interesting. In your webinars, we would be very interested to hear about gender training in peacekeeping training centers. The question could be something like this. UN Security Council resolution on women, peace, and security call upon states to include gender issues in national and pre-deployment training programs for military and civilian police personnel. The resolutions make some specific suggestions regarding issues that should be included in the pre-deployment training of military and civilian police personnel, including the importance of involving women in all peacekeeping and peace-building measures at all levels, the protection, rights, and the particular needs of women, the protection of civilians, including women and girls, the UN zero tolerance of sexual exploitation and abuse, and the prevention of sexual violence against women and girls in conflict and post-conflict situations. So here's the question: what lessons have you learned about making gender training for peacekeepers relevant and effective? And this is submitted by Megan Bastic of Geneva, Switzerland. So who would like to answer that question?
Well, I'm happy to answer it if you don't mind, Dennis. Thanks for the question, Megan. It's a good one. We had a very lively session today on exactly this topic. We had 38 people in our breakout session discussing exactly what lessons can we learn. Now, we have a variety of experience from places like Sweden, where they've really taken a lead on this issue of 1325 and gender and have been incorporating it in every level and have very specialized things, to places like Japan that are struggling to address this issue and want to make it something that's core. Some of the lessons that we shared today were some very, very practical things, and that's where I'm going to focus today, is on practical stuff. Because a lot of the problem, I believe, with gender training is the fact that it gets a bit jargony and it gets a bit too theoretical. And when you have people who are in peacekeeping missions, they're there to do things. They're there to make things happen. And so they need practical hands-on things. So that's our first lesson, is that the more practical your training and your exercises are, the more that you'll have the aha moment that we're looking for. Because gender is not something that should only be in the hands of experts. Everyone has a basic understanding, ability, and need to understand the differences between men and women, boys and girls, and how their specific tasks, be it implementing a rule of law program, training police officers, or going into the field to protect women from gender-based violence, how the different aspects of gender impact that. So practical hands-on exercises engage people more than theoretical discussions based on PowerPoint slides. We want to see things taken away from very jargony and like buzzwords and make it understandable. How can you, people come to trainings with a variety of backgrounds. Some people know a lot about it already, others it's the first time that they've encountered it. You have to have a good training needs assessment ahead of time just to see where your participants are going to be. One size doesn't fit all. Another important thing is getting the leadership involved. We think that the more the leaders are actually taking ownership of this issue and believing in it and being able to speak to it themselves, the better that the trainings will get. We heard some unfortunately bad experiences where people have someone walk in, read off some PowerPoint slides, it's obvious they're not really quite sure what it means. Any questions, and then there's never any questions, and then they move on. Is that an effective training? No. In today's world where the budgets are being cut and the peacekeepers are being pressured to produce more and more and perform more and more tasks, we have to have trainings that actually are effective and are useful. So paring it down, making sure that the basics are understood, keeping it in the most understandable and active hands-on way, these are all lessons that we've learned today. And so I'm hoping we'll be able to take them back and share them around the world after this conference.
Thanks. I know these are also some of the points you brought out in your excellent presentation to the IAPTC today, so I appreciate it. And the next question submitted by a student, I'll pick this one. I would like to understand why the forces of peacekeeping in the DRC are unable to contribute effectively since 2003 in the restoration of peace in that country, while there are about 20,000 men, not counting the civilian staff and NGO personnel. Peacekeeping is also intended to assist the local populations. In the extreme north of the North Kivu, the population faced with serious problems of water, in addition to the insecurity, particularly in the city of Butembo, has the impression that the peacekeeping forces are indifferent to this problem. Even worse, they use the small water points that exist in the city by depriving the poor citizens of a scarce resource. The organized groups of local civil society groups would like that MONUSCO, using the means it has available, support them in the search for a solution to this problem due to the failure of the local authorities to do so. Faced with these types of situations, is there an attitude that peacemakers should adopt? And that's submitted by Didi Ibrahim Lukusa, I assume, of the DRC. So who here would like to respond to that question?
I can take that.
Thank you.
I'm going to be very straight, probably very tough, but these are things that has to be said, and in order to probably look for the heart of the people that has decision-making things in UN and probably change things. I haven't been in Congo, I don't know this reality, but in a personal view, it's like Haiti. 10 years of mission and 10 years of nothing about development or progress in the country, helping the people, but under a mandate that has never changed from the first day, talking about stability and security, but nothing about, I repeat, development and governability to the country, and helping the people to let them progress by himself. So that's the problem, I think. And sometimes I think the bureaucracy in the United Nations, these huge things they send to the countries and maintain strictly what they say in the mandate, they don't change for years, and it happens. Probably it's what is happening in Congo. Probably we have to change. United Nations probably has to be more flexible in the mandate and let the imagination do. I am sure that peacekeepers, and I was one of those, that want to do something else for the people, want to do something else for the country they are contributing to. But they are restricted by the mandate, and they have to do encampment, they have to do patrolling, they have to do security, they have to do stability, and they can't do any road, any bridges or buildings or whatever the people needs. So that has to change. I have a very good example with Ecuador. Ecuador, in a government-to-government collaboration with Haiti, with President Martelly, sent a company of engineering. And this company, in 1 year and a half, not under the UN mandate, has made a lot more, is my feeling, a lot more for the people, for Haiti, than the whole mission of United Nations, in terms of building infrastructure, building roads, bridges, schools, and everything. So the people is very grateful with Ecuadorians, and they are having a feeling of reject to United Nations, that because they see a lot of people, a lot of white, huge vehicles, a lot of soldiers under UN, and doing nothing for them. So this is what I think, respectfully, for the United Nations people, that obviously they know my thinking, because in a meeting I had years ago in Haiti, I exposed this point of view.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And now I have the third question. And this question comes from Perpetu in Cameroon. And here's her question. First she says, thank you for the opportunity to learn from you. And then she says this: I think that one of the reasons why the UN peacekeeping operations can hardly address the scourge of armed conflict in African societies is the fact that they are decided and implemented too far of the population interested and do not lay on context-based solutions and indicators. How do multifunctional peacekeeping operations manage to take advantage of the means and capacities of peace of the conflict zone? In your opinion, if there were something fundamental to add or change to improve the operation's peace impact, what would it be? So who would like to answer that question?
I think I'll take that. Yes, I could not agree with Perpetu much more than on this, because obviously, there's nothing much we can change. The United Nations headquarters is in New York, and therefore whatever planning has to be done there. But having said that, there is also a way of going about it, what I will call the local content aspect, getting people from the region to be involved in the initial planning and even execution, because the roots of the conflict are within that particular area. And to be able to go to the root of the conflict, you need people who know about the history of the conflict and the people, because there is a way that when you have a solution that is transplanted from outside, there's a way that it doesn't stay long. It's just a temporary solution. So what I would want to say is that for there to be lasting peace, the local content aspect must be brought out. And it even starts from the leadership, especially in a multinational peacekeeping operation. The force commander, for example, it might be ideal to get the force commander from within the area, so that he will be able to understand the intricacies of the cultural aspects and then the historical context within which the conflict evolved. But this is not to say that it's easy, because the challenges are that most African countries are not fully equipped for peacekeeping operations, and therefore when a conflict emerges and the planning for peacekeeping operations are being done, we hardly get many African countries participating. So you have true contributing countries from outside the African continent coming in. And there is this concept of he who pays the piper calling the tune. If true contributing countries they bring their troops on board, they will also want to be part of the command structure. And in most cases, the command has nothing to do with the local content. So you have a country providing more troops on the ground, so they want to have the command, irrespective of the fact that they may not have a good grasp of the cultural intricacies or sensitivities on the ground. So what I think has to be done is to make sure that in looking out in the search for the leadership structure of missions, we should look inwards, that is within the region itself or the neighborhood, to find out, to see if they can get the right persons to command the operations. And then also to make sure that local stakeholders are also involved. I mean, we've been talking about this UN Resolution 1325, women, peace and security, getting women involved in mediation aspects and so on and so forth. I think in Africa, for example, women play a very important role. And if they are involved in the planning stages and the decision-making processes, I think it will help in making sure that whatever peace is achieved is a long-lasting one. I think that is where I rest my case. If there is any further listening, I may want to continue later.
Well, thank you very much, General Kusi. I appreciate it. Well, that concludes this webinar. My thanks to my two guests here today, Sarah Martin and General Jorge Peña. Thanks also to our students and others around the world who have submitted questions. I appreciate your interest. I'm sorry that you could not all have been here for this very interesting and enriching full meeting of the International Association of Peacekeeping Training Centers, but I'm very glad that we have our guests to share some of that. So thank you very much for your participation and watching.
Thank you for viewing this webinar. We are pleased to bring this webinar to you, and we invite you to view our website to see all the programs and courses we offer. If you would like to view the archived version of this webinar or any of our previous webinars, please visit www.peaceopstraining.org/webinars. They are also available on our YouTube channel. We thank our students worldwide serving on peacekeeping missions. The Peace Operations Training Institute is dedicated to serving you.